Where are they? We are live and hello, 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 everyone. Happy Halloween to everyone who celebrates. Now, I truly believe we just all celebrate this fun, thrilled, sweetie holiday that it is for all the kiddies and adults included. So everybody knows by now when Kitty and I get together, we get together to play. We also get together to be insightful, to share information with each and every one of you in regards to what's going on with our energy. And oh my God. Should I say that again? Oh my God. Wow. All I can say is that I'm very happy that with this energy we're experiencing right now, that I am working from home and not so involved with the outside world right now. So I'm really excited about that. So, Kitty, just share a little bit about who you are and why you and I play as I connect with everyone that we need to connect with.
I suspect in 2 weeks I may describe myself completely differently looking at this opening of November. That's why we called this the winds of November. This is the winds of change. There are so many things blowing. It's hurricane, you know. Are we category 3, 4, 5? Depending what's going on. And since I'm back in Florida, I think about hurricanes. I'm Kitty Budewig Foss. I am the storytelling astrologer. Uh, what I like to do is take a look at your chart and kind of tell you the story of what you kind of bargained for before you came, how your energies work. And that's also how I talk about the months. I use a variety of disciplines in astrology. And I'm here to talk about the story of the energy. How you use it is kind of up to you and what you know. And we're going to be talking a lot today about Mars, which retrograded yesterday. We've been feeling this. And again, this is a energy. Mars usually is about 5 weeks in a sign that we work through. It's 7 months in this particular sign because of, and it's a rarity. First of all, retrograde for Mars only happens, it's the longest retrogrades in planets. I mean, in between times, it's over 2 years before, somewhere between 24 and 27 months. Is a Mars retrograde. Mars is our will. Mars is a daily planet. So we're going to be having a whole lot of discussion about our energy and the story of how this will be playing out for us. So Joanne, do you have your chart?
Yes, I actually do. It's right to the left of me. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab it.
And I'm going to ask her, ladies and gentlemen, on this All Hallows Eve, and where her Mars is, because she's going to be playing with it a lot over the next few months, till January 12th.
Yes, interesting enough, my Mars, and I don't really need to look, but I'm going to grab it if I don't fall off my chair. My Mars happens to be in Aries. Yes, it is.
So that's its happy place anyway.
Yes, in Aries, and the Should we guess what house it is, Kitty? You want to give it a guess?
Third house.
Close, but no cigar.
What house?
It is the 10th house.
Oh, the 10th house.
10th house, yes.
Yeah. Of work, career, public persona.
Yes, which makes a lot of sense considering everything that I've experienced over the last, what is it now? Yesterday I actually made 30 days since working from home. Mm-hmm. So many changes I have experienced over the last 30 days. And even really interesting, I was watching some videos because I was looking for something the other day. And I sat and listened to 2 or 3 videos of different teachings that I've done over the couple of years. And it's so interesting on even how my vocabulary and also how I speak has changed. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, that voice sounds familiar, but who is that a minute? I had to literally take a double take. I was like, oh, wow, that's me. but I do not say the things that way anymore. So I was really intrigued by, wow, is it even possible? But yeah, obviously it is, because there I am communicating in a whole different language. And interesting enough, what is it? Maybe 2 years ago? I think 2 years ago, I was qualifying myself as a student of astrology, where now I just literally just call myself a medical astrologer, because, last 2 years I've done a lot of growing, a lot of teaching, and I did, complete my certification. So I went from being a student, where I do believe, well, I'm always a student because I'm always learning. And from what I understand with astrology, I don't think you can ever really know everything about astrology.
Oh, I don't think so either. I learn new things, and we discover new things. We discover there's one of the astrologers I personally follow is Pam Gregory, and she's been doing this for many, many years. She used to, as I was a closet one, she was too, because she would lose clients. She was in real estate, I think. And if she said anything about it, she's one of the paving the way so that people can publicly say these things. She's been around for a while, and she's always talking about all these new asteroids that have been. And as we learn more about the actual shape of space and how the energy works, we're also, I'm a student who has a couple geologists and quantum physicists I follow, and I was not a kid of science, because they're discovering all kinds of new energies coming in. We're in a 12,000 year cycle that has, and there are places we've not been to for over 12,000 years, energies that are coming in. Yesterday, the Schumann resonance was so low. It was below 5, average is 8. Yeah, it was very, very low. And it's just, so for some people who are more susceptible, Amy is one. She really, when the earth shifts, my dear Taurus friend, really feels it. And she was feeling that yesterday. She was feeling this kind of needing to pull inward. Things were going slow, very low, very deep. So, and this Mars retrograde, for those people that are fire signs or have a lot of fire, I happen to have a moon and a rising sign in fire. You're going to feel this. This Gemini started August 20th. Mars is, of course, is ruled by Aries, which is fire, but Gemini is air, and we know what air and fire do, what air does to a spark. And so, and we stay in this until March 25th, 2023. We leave the retrograde on the 12th of January, but we go back over the same area. Meanwhile, last week was quite the kick in the pants energy-wise to get us. We kind of have a little bit of a pause before we get up, starting in the 5th and 6th. But, this is the winds of November. They're, in the back of my mind, I've got the song that Edmund Fitzgerald, "Legend lives on from," when the gales of November come early. These are the gales of November that are coming through. I mean, just in this last week, Sunday, not yesterday Sunday, but a week ago, the 23rd, we had Venus move in. We had the sun move into Scorpio. We had the planet Saturn go direct. And then we had a solar eclipse with a new moon, all Scorpio energy. Then we had Jupiter, who is retrograde. Planet of expansion is one of the reasons why things are coming back up for us, is it's going back over that last piece of its 12-year cycle from 2010 to 2022, April. It's now gone back, and it's going over it, and then it's going to come back over that same period. So whatever those lessons were, you're revisiting them in a much deeper way to make sure you're using them in your next expansion. And then we had Mercury join this stellium in Scorpio. So in Scorpio is never an easy period of time. It's still waters run deep. It's the sign of power. It's the taboo. It's the darkness. It's the shadow. And you add all these other things going on. And then Mars went retrograde yesterday. So, and what is really interesting, we were talking about that before we went on, was that Mars is a daily energy. So this isn't about a retrograde that's an overall theme and working. This is something that we're going to deal with day after day after day. And normally we have 5 weeks around and we move on to a new energy with Mars. Nope. In Gemini, in exploration, in communication, in technologies, in schedules, you know, all.
Which means a lot of reviewing, a lot
Mhm.
of reflecting, a lot of changes that we're
Yep.
going to be experiencing because of the time frame that this is taking place, where Mars is in retrograde in Gemini, and the period of time that is just in Gemini in itself.
Right.
You
And,
know,
Mars in retrograde is really about floating with the unknown. Mars is passion. It's the warrior energy. And when it's in Gemini, it's kind of at somewhat a sluggish pace because it's trying to figure things out. And it's about technology. It's about, Gemini is curious. It's about answer, seek knowledge, asking, guidance, breaking things down into steps, really looking at what self-care means, because I talked about this last night. This is about the fangs we have in our communication. This is about how many things we jump into. And of course, we're seeing that in the world right now, and learning that my own life is barely my business, let alone everybody else's. Me telling them how they should live, and we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And that's what this time is about. Where are my boundaries? How do I break them down? And then where's my own language, my own, of course, it's retrograde. Do I have my own communication that is a set of fangs, a set of tension, how I speak to myself, um, yeah, how I spend my cortisol, what cranks me up, can I learn to break things down? Can I learn to vent in a safe place? This is a great time to start communication with writing. I recommended yesterday in my vibe of the week, write a letter to yourself about what it is you want to create your life. Dear me, this is what I'm hoping. Just like sometimes we write letters, what we want to say, and then we go back and edit, so those are, that's the kind of energy we're talking about right now. So.
yes. And when we think about it, besides obviously Mars and Gemini, anyone who has Sun, Moon, Rising in Gemini also will be feeling this a little more so than someone who doesn't have the major three planets in Gemini, or any other planet for that matter in Gemini. But also taking into consideration, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's all right. I have a feeling you're going to finish my sentence, so go ahead.
Well, and look where your Mars is. Where is this conversation taking place? Mine is in the house of relationship, which is already about relationships. So this particular month, and my Mars natally is in Cancer. It wants to nurture. It wants to figure things out. And maybe I'm going to be letting go of some of that. Where is that served me? Where isn't it serving me? I would say in my lifetime, I've eaten. I don't particularly feel like this is just me. I'm not one of those people who says, I'll get right in your face and tell you, it's not my business. I just as soon, since Mars is in the 7th house in Cancer, I just as soon escape. 1 foot out the door. That's Mars in Cancer in the 7th house. And
now, is that your Mars?
That's my Mars, yes.
Oh, okay.
And my Black Lilith, which is also my free will, is also in Cancer in the 7th house. So I really have a big escape valve on my will when something doesn't feel like it wants. And it's interesting because I have a Virgo North Node, which is a problem solver, which is what keeps me trying to figure it out. Otherwise, I'd be one of those ghosting people.
Yeah, you'd probably be sitting under a rock trying to hide, saying, okay, you know what? This is not my party.
Yeah. Oh, I always had a secret fantasy that if it got to be too much, I would just get in my car one day, find a truck stop somewhere, get a job as a waitress, and call myself Ginny.
There you go.
You know, I had it all planned in my head. So it's how you keep one foot out the door. But again, in this time, I'm going to be really looking at my battles. There are some I need to have more and say, but take the 10 seconds to say, what am I trying to communicate? Not tell somebody what they're doing. What is it my need is? And even if they don't respond to it, it doesn't change me having to say it. And that's more my lesson versus some people who are learning, you don't have to offer your opinion about everything. You know, so that it's a big one. And yours is in the 10th house. So this is in your public persona.
Yes. Yes. To I guess get used to my new way of doing things in the public eye, self-expression.
Yeah, and it like your rising sign, this is more though how you present yourself versus perhaps how you step into the world. And sometimes in our rising sign, we don't understand how people react to us because we're not. That's not necessarily it's what we're learning about. Versus our public persona is who we are. So you are this Aries. You have this spark. You have this energy to start, and it's a daily thing for you. And so you're going to be practicing daily new communication around that, new untying of public persona things that might have had sharper edges. You know, it just this is really it's a wonderful opportunity. But when make no mistakes, the winds are blowing, folks.
Oh yes, yes. In fact, I'll share a very well. I guess it's funny, but interesting story that took place the other day for me, just in reference to the public eye and being able to step into that like self-expression and sharing. I had applied to this particular event, and I get an email back from the woman and basically saying that at this particular time in the area that I was pursuing, they are not currently taking new members for. So I emailed her back and indicated that, well, anytime the universe brings something into my path, there is always a potential. There's always going to be a door opening. So I said it like this, you may not see that right now. And from your protocol, you feel that there's not an opportunity for me. I said, but I would almost guarantee intuitively that within less than 30 days, an opportunity will arise. I said, I'm sure you'll be reaching back to me to let me know, oh, something has opened and we would love to have you.
Yeah. There's a whole, I don't think any of us will quite be the same by the end of this month, more so than other months before, because this is this time of transformation and it's transforming our communication. It's no accident that Mars is sitting in this air sign, Gemini technology in a time of transformation. We are changing our communication, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be ugly. I would recommend people turn their TVs off, and we're going to hear conspiracy theories from both sides. We're going to hear all kinds of people just out there. Some of the norms of communication have obviously changed, and I am absolutely sometimes blown away at what people feel they need to share.
Yes.
Yes. It's so funny because one of the questions that is about being Mars in Cancer is I'm very fortunate that I don't tend to have people say outlandish things to me very often, like at stores or all of that stuff. And I know those are true and other people have them because without even thinking, I look at somebody and I'd say, who asked you? And it amazes me how many people will listen to somebody and then they'll engage in this conversation where somebody has clearly gone over their boundary and without saying, who asked you? And that usually shuts a lot of people down because, you're already drawing the boundary that
exactly.
I'm not going to interact with you because who asked you?
Yeah, and exactly what you just said. You're not asking. And probably the first time that person has actually heard someone say, well, who asked you?
I actually wrote that recently. Someone decided to say to me, And they thought they were helping someone else. Well, I don't think that helps so and so when you do that. And I said, very nicely, I said, and about your point, please feel free not to share that feedback. I'll take care. I will respect your boundaries when you're dealing with this person. Please respect mine. And I don't need your feedback. It's not welcomed, you know. And they're like, oh, like, you know, why wouldn't I say that? You know, and it was clearly it was between me and this other person, and they thought they were going to run interference or no. And if that person had that message for me, then they can tell me. I really have come to understand my relationships are personal. My responsibility, my boundaries also. So, but you know, and it's going to be a really hard time for fixed signs: Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. Even though it's the time of Scorpio, because in this Mars retrograde, all of this final square with Uranus and Saturn, and all of these things that have been being taken apart. It's been hard for cardinal signs to start things, but that's freeing up now. But now the rules have all changed, and fixed signs who are intrapersonal, they want to be interpersonal, working with each other, all of those things. They're the middle of a season, so they're the boots on the ground getting things done. It's not as possible right now because things are shifting, and all of these things are coming back from history from many years ago and from that 12-year cycle and all of those things. And so it's not easy for fixed signs because they don't know what to do. And they always know what to do. I have 2 out of my 3 are fixed, Scorpio and Leo moon. Thank God for the Sagittarius rising because it's bringing me more things that I can, you know, finish up and clean up and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I have one friend, she's all fixed signs. I'm like, yeah, you might want to take a lot of self breaks.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And just like Kitty said, I mean, if you are a fixed sign right now, you may need to honor some self breaks. Mm-hmm. You know, take time out. This is definitely a time to honor boundaries, honor your need to either be in a crowd or just allow yourself to be quiet with yourself. You don't have to always be in a crowd. You don't have to be at every social event that there is. Quiet yourself down and give yourself that time just to relax. And you don't have to do anything. And when you move into the energy of not doing anything, you allow yourself to recharge, which is what this energy is all about anyway. Anytime we go into a retrograde, it really is a recharging period.
Well, and this particular one is giving us the practice for whatever is coming in early 2023. This is daily practice with this will in experience, in this will in communication, this Mars in Gemini, and giving yourself permission not only to relax, but breaking problems into small pieces and not to know, because it's clarity over time. And that's why it's so hard for fixed signs, because they tend to be pretty clear about what they're going to do, and it's clarity over time. And so things have to be broken into smaller pieces. It's to choose your battles very wisely. Where are you going to spend your cortisol? Even if something activates you, asking yourself the question, is this activating me in a way that's going to help me? Is this about me? And handling it that way, tunneling inward a little bit more in your own communication as to why it is the woman over in the corner is letting her kid run around like crazy, and I don't particularly like it. Why am I paying attention to it if they're not really bothering me? You know?
Yes, exactly.
Why am I spending my cortisol level on that? Fight or flight, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Save it for something that's mine, you know? This is when that saying I used, bless them, change me, comes into saying. I'll be saying that a lot in November. Bless them, change me.
Exactly. Yeah. So with all that, because there's a lot of that, of energy, I mean, if you think about it, within the last week, as Kitty was just saying, the Mars retrograde, the Mercury moving into Scorpio, the what else was there this past week? Oh my God, we had so much going on.
Jupiter went back into Aries. Yeah.
Moving back into Pisces.
Solar
energy.
eclipse.
Yeah, it's like, if you're not like literally, the vision I see right now is like, you know how babies, they bend over and they sort of look up? If we're not all trying to stand on our head at this point in time to try to figure out what's the right side to be looking up at things, that's what this energy is. There's a lot of energy going on, a lot of energy floating through our bodies, activating our bodies as well. In fact, let me see if I can find it quickly. I had posted in my page today, where the hell is it? Yes, I had posted in my page today in regards to, with the Mars retrograde in Gemini, how that is associated with our body and our organs, and how it may very well flare up specific pain, illness, or disease during this time. So again, to be cautious of what your body is trying to tell you, because again, Gemini is that communication. So be aware, and I'll mention what I mentioned in my own private post earlier, which is Gemini is all about the throat, the lungs, and your breath. Mars is about the neck, the veins, the genitals, red blood cells, the anal, and also female organs. So there's a lot going on between Mars and Gemini. So pay attention to what is actually going on with your body. And if you are experiencing any flare-ups, it's a really great time to, again, rest, but also learn how to move your body in an easy way so you can keep the inflammation from flaring up during this time. So paying attention to that. And I highly recommend, especially because Gemini is all throat, lots of liquids, meaning hot water, some lemon, drink it up all day to keep the throat soothing. And also because you may be tempted to want to have those conversations and express yourself, share, but you want to keep the throat activated so it doesn't get blocked up.
Yeah, so it's very important how you say what you say. Good time to do mantras, very good for meditation. Especially the beginning of this month, Venus is in its fall position. So Venus that looks for beauty, that looks for what's valued, that is in that second house of money and values. So money's a bit precarious. Is in its fall, or its opposite. It's not very comfortable here. So it's trying to find beauty in places it tries not to look. In the swamp, in the swamp that is Scorpio water. And it's in a flip-flop energy with Uranus, the chaos. And so chaos, trying to value, what we understand, which is why it's so disruptive right now, is already, especially coming up on this lunar eclipse with the election and a few other things, it is going to be chaos. And Venus is not feeling like this is beautiful, but it's, again, Venus is also a daily energy. It's looking for the beauty. It's looking at what you value in the day. It's looking for the gratitude. It's going to be hard to feel grateful. There's a lot of people, they'll say, oh, the world is just crazy. I am really trying not to say that. I'm really trying to say the world is changing, and I don't need to put my judgment on it. Mm-hmm. My life is changing for the better. Yeah.
The world is changing, and along with, because we do have the Gemini Mars retrograde right now, how we communicate, how we express can either add to that, as they will call it, the world changing and crazy. We can either add to it, or we can create what it is we want it to look like instead of it looking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing that into the energy. And we also want to keep in mind too that we are still in 2022. So we have that 6th vibration of healing and nurturing all of the energy within and externally as well. So pay attention to that as well to take care of yourself, nurture yourself, nurture the world as well. So sending out those high vibes of gratitude, high vibes of love, unconditional love, kindness, peace. If you sit here talking about how the world is crazy, focus on how you want to make this world a better place and send out that
Well,
love to the world.
and if you say it's crazy, that has another emotional. We're in Scorpio. Still waters run deep. It's emotion. The world is unpredictable. That doesn't feel as unmanageable. The world is, it's just like when you say, my feet are killing me. Is that really what you want to say?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
the favorite expression that so many use is like, that person's a pain in the ass. It's like you don't really want to say that person's a pain in your ass, because guess what's going to show up? A pain in your ass.
Well, and partially because you're putting it out there on somebody else.
Yes.
Rather than owning, wow, if I say that person really bothers me, then I start thinking, why do they bother me? And there's actions I can take, or including not having that person in my life at different times, and
exactly.
Or avoiding that person. But this really is a time where we're learning to re-communicate. But it doesn't mean, folks, this is about unicorns, because there's a lot of people out there who aren't awakened, who they're still picking up this vibration at a very basic, concrete level.
Yes, I mean, very shallow,
they know there's something in the background, which is where conspiracy theories come from, and all of that. And they're just trying to make sense out of their world. And sometimes I've actually said this to people, that's not the world I want to live in. They're like, well, it's the world you live in. I said, no, that's the world you live in.
Yes.
It's not the world I live in.
And I think I say this probably every live we have, which is, again, what we focus on is what we're going to see. Mm-hmm. So again, if Kitty wants to see this world as a world of love and joy and compassion, I'm going to be in that world with her, because that's what I want to see too, as opposed to those who might be walking around saying that this world is crazy, or this thing or that thing. Because again, where you focus on is what's going to expand. And as I always like to say, the universe always gives you what you focus on. The universe never disappoints in delivering. So if you are experiencing something that you are not comfortable with, you have to come back to yourself and say, at some point I put this energy out there, so maybe I need to redirect my focus so I can start to focus on and receive the very things I actually want to have, versus all the things you're focusing on. So if something does not feel good or look right, redirect your focus, because you are in total control of that.
Right, because when you learn to redirect your focus, not in crisis, not in the middle of something, you start to react differently to what you see. And you start seeing other things than, it's the law of attraction. What we put out, we bring back to us. And if, it doesn't mean things don't unexpectedly happen for us, but how I look at them is very different. Recently in my own family, we had a crisis, and there were many a time I just stopped to say, this is here also to teach me something, and also to pause enough to look at handling this differently than before, or where my mind was starting to get into the repeating patterns. And so that's the energy you put out. I mean, I'm as a Sagittarius rising, I do look for truth, but I do realize that my truth and your truth aren't always the same thing.
Very true. Very true. So with all that being said, because Kitty and I always likes to play, Kitty, you have cards with you?
I have a new deck.
Oh, what deck do you have today?
This is from my friend who cuts my hair, Sean, gave it to me. And thank God she cut my hair. I'm so grateful for that. It's called the Well-Being Cards. They're Esther and Jerry Hicks from Abraham Hicks. Yeah. Nice. So I thought, we'll use these. I actually read them yesterday because Amy wasn't available to do our Vibe of the Week. And so they were the first time.
Okay?
Yeah, she's all right. She just, it was one of those times where, like I said, she's very susceptible, and she's just like, I just need a break.
Yes.
Um, and she found out she's having her third grandchild is a boy.
Oh, nice. Congratulations to Amy.
Hmm.
Very nice.
And
Yeah.
I think that he's either going to be, I think he's due in March. So
So maybe a Pisces baby.
it might be Pisces, might be Taurus, depending when, right?
You mean Aries?
Aries, yes. Sorry,
Aries.
Aries, yes.
You had me confused there. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, I'm thinking. No, my dad was born the 20th. He was born on the cusp. He's Aries.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right.
So, well, I'll sit there and wish for a Pisces because I always love to bring more Pisces into the world.
All right. So the card that came out, beautiful card.
Oh, I love, yes.
And it's, there is nothing for me to guard against. You exist in a place of absolute well-being. Tell yourself that again and again. This is perfect for November because I was thinking, what do we want to tell people for November? Know it. Be the evidence of it. Give others reasons to believe that they can be as well. And again, this is how you react, what you say. And we're never all perfect, but boy, when you start paying attention to it, you stop saying things like, my feet are killing me, or you even stop calling people things like, excuse the expression, assholes. You might say they're acting like an ass you start saying it in my opinion, and then you start owning it. I'm a great believer of Byron Katie. Do I really know things? You know, or is that a judgment?
Exactly. And the card that came flying out, which I think is really appropriate, is patience. Patience, having patience with yourself, and also having patience with others during this time. Because again, what I'm hearing right now is that we're all learning to communicate in a different way. And somebody may not be able to get their words out the way they want to get their words out. So just be patient with that person who is communicating with you. Be patient. Be kind, be gentle, which is the chakra, the compassion, the understanding. And it's not that you have to say, well, I understand what you're going through, because one of the things I've come to learn with that expression is we never understand what someone is going through. And sometimes that's a disservice to say to somebody, well, I understand what you're going through. No, I actually have no clue what you're going through. So because I don't have any clue of what you're going through,
I empathize. I have compassion.
Exactly. And then we have that number 4. 4 is about finding the balance with all of this. Finding the balance that if you do feel overwhelmed, exhausted, confused, not getting the clarity you're looking to get, especially those fixed signs, this is a time to quiet down. This is a time for that rest. Now, if you feel like you need to move your body, then this is time for movement in your body. So finding the balance between the two. This is your foundation. The foundation in regards to when we think about communication, how do we want to communicate with our bodies? How do we want to communicate with ourselves? And that's the most important communication, is how we communicate with self. What do we say?
Yeah, that's super. Yeah, because patience, this is daily. This is a practice, just like practicing gratitude. We are practicing it during this period of time. Yes. We're getting a lot of practice because we need practice. And I love that it's patience and 4, that stability. Exactly. Just one foot in front of the other. And being very patient with yourself. Because
and no rushing. Everything will definitely come to you in the divine timing as it needs to. And just allow it to happen organically without trying to rush it, without trying to make something happen. Because as I very much know, if you try to make something happen, you only create a lot of resistance, and then that becomes really, really frustrating for yourself. So allow yourself just to put the energy out there, set the intention, and when it's ready to unfold for you, know that it will.
It's so funny that that's what you're saying, because here's the next card I got. The main event isn't the destination. It's the joyous journey. And And you did not come forth seeking assignments to complete. You came forth to reason, to flow, and to love, to enjoy life. Even though you'll return home at the end of this vacation, the idea of your holiday is not to complete it as quickly as possible so that you can check it off your list. The idea of your vacation and of life experience is to have a joyous one.
I love that. I love that. I think that goes really well when we think about just our daily tasks. Like, rather than trying to rush through everything just to say, I did it, I did it, I did it. Be in it. Be in the now of it. Embrace it. Recognize how you move through it. When I use the word move through it, not in reference of finishing it, but how does your body feel when you're doing what you're doing? Like, for example, and it may be the weirdest analogy here, example is when you're vacuuming. How does your body feel as you're vacuuming the space you're vacuuming? Are you going with it, or are you just rushing through just to get it done? You know, because if that's what you're doing when you're vacuuming, it's a good probability you're doing that in your life in general, and you're missing out on all those great moments of the now, which leads us to my card. Go ahead.
I was about to say, that's a great example. In a class we teach, Spirit 101, we talk about where you're spending your time. And there are tasks you have to do. My task that I'm not particularly fond of is dog poop, picking it up. You know, but what I've learned to do is, especially when I'm cleaning the yard or whatever, is have music on, walk the yard like what's that called?
When you walk. We're both doing it.
Yeah. Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Walk it like a labyrinth, you know, and be aware of the other signs while you're looking, so that you're engaging doing something else. Just like you're saying with vacuum, I can be, you know, I can be right here, very present with where's my body moving, and you know,
exactly. So. And I think the card that I just pulled goes very nicely with Jupiter moving back into Pisces. It's in reverse, and it's the old soul. So it's giving us an opportunity to review the last 12 years of our lives as the old soul, the old version of who you were, what might be showing up now. And that 2-6 is that 8 energy, which is about what can you take for whatever is showing up now, and ask yourself, how important is whatever it is that's showing up for you? How important is it? Do you want to really give it life again? Or do you want to just recognize it showed up, bless it, and let it go? And you get to decide on what you wish to do. If you want to give it life again, to learn something from it, you have that choice, so you can transform from the experience. Or you recognize it's there, give it gratitude, bless it, and send it off its way. And this is really that solar plex energy of allowing yourself to trust your intuition, to knowing that, okay, whatever this is, recognize, okay, this is an experience that took place maybe back in 2010, 2011, 2012, whatever have you. But give yourself that opportunity to trust your intuition, to be guided by your intuition, to, do I need to hold on to this? Was this just showing up just to remind me of how much I have transformed from 2010 to present date? And sometimes that's just what it is. It's a reminder of how much we have grown, how different we are. I love the expression when people say, wow, you've changed. You are not the same person you were when I first met you. And in my mind, it's like, of course. Didn't you change? Why would you not want to change? Why would you want to be that same person from 2010? I know I myself sometimes take a look in the mirror and become really amazed about this new version of myself. It's like, wow, there's a major change, but trusting it. But there's a lot of us, because the card's in reverse, there's a lot of us whom are going to sit in the old story. They're going to rehash it, because they're not taking the opportunity to take a minute to ask themselves, do I really need to go through the story again? They just recognize it's showing up, and they're so used to that drama that they want to dive right back into it. It's one of the things I've been working with my clients on in the last couple of days, is reminding them that if something shows up, that's a memory take a minute and ask yourself, do I really want to bring this into this chapter now? Is there something here that I still need to learn about? Or is this just a reminder of how much I've grown since then? And
Mm-hmm.
trust it. That's the message. Trust it.
Yep.
Love it.
Very much. All right, let's see a final card for the navigation of the winds of November.
Yes, where are we going?
Where are we going? By the end, there's some really easing up. December should be kind of cool. You know, there is nothing for me to guard against. You exist in an absolute, same card, of well-being again and again. Know it. Be the evidence to give others a reason to believe as well. So I guess that's what it is. There is nothing for me to guard against. I can absolutely navigate this on my own, but it's about me. Where am I spending my time? And then as I breathe deeply, I feel myself thrive. And that will be a good message for this month. Take the time to breathe. Take the time to pause. Do I want to spend, think of yourself as being on a cortisol budget this month. Do I want to spend the energy on that? Or am I going to spend 3 days clearing it out because I lost it? That happens to me sometimes when I get drawn into something. I don't get drawn into nearly as much as I once did, but when I do, boy, it takes me a lot longer to unplug than it once did.
Add to that one is Queen and King. Queen and King, our partnerships, our relationships, the contracts that we have, and recognizing that with the Mars Gemini retrograde, this is an opportunity to create.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity to speak, to express, to write. As Kitty said earlier, this is a great time for journaling. Journal down everything, the relationship you have with yourself. Get to know who you are during this time. Really use this time to really discover you. And by doing that, discovering yourself gives you an opportunity to possibly gain some new relationships as we do move into 2023. Because you're going to be a very different version of yourself. Just as Kitty said when we first started, she's very interested to see who she's going to be, how different she's going to be by the time all of this energy shifts. So
right.
Definitely applies to me as well. Quite interesting on that. So Kitty, as usual, always have fun.
We do have fun. This is fun. And I think folks will be on quite a few times in November because the winds of November are going to be blowing, especially around the eclipse and the big solar eclipse that's coming in Taurus. That's going to be. I'm trying to find a positive word for it. It's going to be a doozy works. Yeah, it's going to. There's just a lot to this particular one. I mean, full moons are about shining lights on things to let go of anyway. But what a lunar eclipse does, it gives us some extra focus on that. And we have a square. So we're going to be in and out with this Taurus energy. And our North Node, our soul's highest goal about our values, is all about this. And there's a chaos that happens in the full moon. And that's going to be happening. The day before is some real restrictions looking at external blockages on the 7th with Venus in Scorpio and it's squaring Saturn in Aquarius, whatever the vision is, and it's restriction, external blockages. And it's a day to practice your gratitude, a day to practice what you're saying, because it's going to be kind of a what the Farkle day is what it is.
And when we think about just a month of November in itself, it's the 11th month. It carries the master number of the master healer. The entire month carries the energy of the master healer. The master healer is how you heal the relationship with self before you can even think about healing relationships with others.
And isn't any accident in the United States, looking at our chart, that Thanksgiving is in November, near the end of November. It's to take out the gratitude and the change as we get ready for the seasons of light, and to see what's coming. And it's, up until about the 10th of this month, It's a ride. Hang on.
Hang
Hang on to your
on, hang on, hang on.
Yeah. Hang on, Sloopy. Sloopy, hang on. you know. Um,
I just got a vision of someone on a what do they call those? The bull, where they're riding a bull and they're
oh, the mechanical bulls. Yeah.
yes, it's like we gotta hang on for dear life during this
Yeah. See,
time.
and I'm seeing the trolley in San Francisco as it goes flying over the hill, like, whoa,
So yes,
can't
so
quite
lots
see
of
where we're going.
action.
Yeah.
Yes, lots
So
of action. So folks, have a great night. And Kitty and I will be
thank you.
back again, as she mentioned. We'll be doing this again because there's a lot going on. But for now, embrace, journal, express, take time, honor your energy, rest when you need, move when you need, become aware, be aware of how you move as well.
So, yes.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.